Okay, so today we're going to create a very simple office environment in Blender and then move it into Gazebo. It's all going to be textured and everything, and that way we can run our robots, our simulated robots, in any environment we want. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and delete the default cube, and we'll make this pretty simple. This isn't really a Blender tutorial, but more just a tutorial on the steps you need to take to make it compatible with Gazebo. So, you know, there are plenty of great Blender tutorials out there. So I will not be providing that today. But anyway, we kind of make this pretty simple, but, you know, a little bit of an interesting space here. Okay, so maybe we'll add a little hallway here, and on the other side we'll do something kind of like this, and we'll make this a little bit bigger. And good. Okay, so now we have our space, and now I'm just gonna take the outsides here. I'll just do an edge mode here. Okay, and I'm gonna duplicate that. P to separate by selection. Now we have these two different objects here. So one that's just the outside and one that's the inside. And now I'm just going to take the outside and I'm just going to extrude it up. And now we have walls. Okay, so that was easy. Now why don't we also make sure that these normals are pointed in the right way. Yep, looks like they are correct. Okay, great. So why don't we first just add a material to the floor. Okay, so we're going to just say, maybe call this carpet. Okay, and for this tutorial, I'm just using a set of materials that I found online on, where are we? CO textures, I think. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, so it's a great site. They have a lot of different textures. It's all free to use. I think all under Creative Commons, the CC0 license, so we can use them for whatever. And I apparently don't need to give any credit, but you know, they're great. So please check them out. Okay, so now let's look at the material here, and right now we don't, you know, not really showing anything here, but why don't we do generated, or maybe just global is better here. Okay, so then, and these look awfully small, so we're gonna make this a little bit bigger here. Okay, here we go. Then we have this carpeted floor, and then our walls should probably be, I don't know, we can give them a hint of color here and make them a little bit green. Okay, cool. So ugliest office building around, but that's okay. And then, yeah, why don't I also add a little bit of ambient occlusion here, just kind of to make things a little bit easier to look at here. We'll see what this looks like when it's rendered. Okay, so you see it's this very ugly space here. And now we'll also add a little door here. I have no real sense for the scale of this thing, just because I'm working on a laptop today, so I don't have access to a numpad, so I don't have the usual shortcuts that I like, but that's okay. I'll make this a separate color here. Okay. Separate that. Make this a yellow door. Okay, perfect. And we'll add a little doorknob to this. Okay. Bump this to 16. Scale it down. Rotate along the Y, 90. Scale it down a little bit. Extrude along the X. Yeah, this is way too long. Scale this down along the X, push it back a little bit, and extrude along the X again, scale down, extrude, scale to 0, remove doubles, and there we go, whole doorknob. Okay, perfect. And so this doorknob, I am gonna keep that white-ish, and now we have our ugly environment. Great. If we look at material, this is what we expect, all these things. And now, you know, the first thought is what happens if we bring this into Gazebo here. So why don't we first try to do that. So we export as a collada.dae. I'm just going to dump it on my desktop here. And I'll call this, well, okay, you know, test office, TAE, okay. And so now if we bring this into Mesh Lab, we can kind of get a sense for some of this stuff before we do anything crazy here. So we'll import Mesh, desktop, test office, DAE. Okay, and the kind of the first thing you notice is there's this severe lack of any coloring here. So that's kind of disappointing. So, well, why don't we try to fix that first, okay? So, you know, all this stuff is kind of what you expect, right? So, instead, we are going to export everything using, well, actually, there's one thing here where if we were to bring this instead of in Mesh Lab in Gazebo, so we bring this over to Gazebo, there we go. Okay, so here we have Gazebo, and we'll create a new model. Okay, so we're going to add a custom shape. Sometimes this doesn't seem to work very well. Okay, and go to desktop, test office, and we'll call it test office 1. Okay, great. And well, now we have our oversized office here. Okay, and well, I'm gonna click on this and make it static. Just this one. Good. And let me save that. Just office 1. Okay, so kind of the first thing we notice is if we exit this and you look at this, it doesn't have any of the colors that we talked about before. So this is kind of the first piece here that comes to mind. So why don't we open up the file for that. So here we have the config, the SDF. So this is in our model letter models folder. And you'll notice there's this nice material called Gazebo Gray. And this is actually overwriting the default material in the DAE file. So why don't we go ahead and delete that, and just to make sure, okay. And now we'll go back to our Gazebo, and we'll insert that same model, and now you'll notice that we have some color. It's great. Obviously does not help that the lighting is so bad, but we'll bring that over there. Light over there, you can see yellow door, green. Now let's see, what about the floor though? And you'll notice the floor is just this gray, which isn't the texture that we use. So why don't we now solve that? Now what we want to do here is we actually want to do what's called UV unwrapping, and then we want to bake the texture onto it. So we're going to go to the UV image editor, and we'll create a new texture. 2048 by 2048 is probably, or 2048 by, this is probably fine. And I'm going to unwrap, and I'll just do maybe a smart UV unwrap. That certainly doesn't look great. Okay, so we instead create a new image that's 124 by 2048 over here. Okay, and then we'll unwrap this again. Smart UV project. Okay, and I will, I guess we'll just do a 2048 by 2048 then. And we'll just unwrap this. Okay, so now we have this environment this UV map here mapped out. Okay, but it still doesn't quite work. So we will go over here, and there's this bake button. And what we're going to do is we're going to just bake the textures onto this. So we'll click bake, and you'll notice that our carpet texture is now on this image here, and we'll just save that for now. This is okay. This is fine. Great. Okay. So now the other thing that we have to do is we want to actually have that be what we're reading from. So I'm going to just go ahead and delete that texture and our material, and I will add a new texture. Goes from UV map. I'll just use this image here. And I believe now if I select all of this and export as a collada, same thing, desktop is DAE, and I close this. Insert this model again. And you'll notice now we have that texture. So that is how you import a material, or that's how you make a basic environment in Blender and then import it into Gazebo. So now if we have like a cube or a sphere, we can drop it in the environment and it behaves the way you'd expect. Okay. Well, thank you very much.